Here we are for another conversation. I am so thrilled to be here with my new friend, Katie. Well, I actually didn't even look back in our DM history, but it's been a while. I could scroll back here, but that might waste time. I don't know. We've talked quite a bit. So,
I
but
think we
here
met last November.
last November.
You
Okay.
were pampered chefing. I don't even know. And you sent us some stuff, like
Yes,
the
I
hot
said the
chocolate
hot
kit and the
chocolate.
marshmallows. Yeah.
Yes,
Because
yes.
I was doing my Kate's Kitchen Christmas party.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Is that something you do every year, by the way? Side tangent.
I've done it a few years.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're going to talk about when we talk about sporting, local and all that
yeah,
kind of stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, it's always a fun party, except for
yeah,
I think Canada Post really did it
yeah. Right.
when they
Well, and
striked, and I just had stuff sitting in the
yes,
mailbox forever. Yeah.
seriously. Well, and it's so funny because speaking of Canada Post, I kept going to the mailbox the last few weeks, and I'm like, man, like it's literally just empty. Like, why is the mailbox empty? Like, usually we get at least some junk, and then literally it was probably like 2 to 3 weeks of me doing that and being like, oh yeah, they're on strike. Like, what are you doing?
Nothing's coming.
Nothing's coming
Nothing's
at
coming.
you.
Mhm.
Not even your junk. So this is the first time Katie and I get to sit down together and have a conversation other than, voice clips back and forth on Instagram.
Yeah.
But I am so honored to be here with you, Kate. Honestly, I've so enjoyed getting to know you through social media and what you've been sharing there through your new podcast, which we're going to talk about. But I am so excited for people who don't yet know you to get to know you, and also for those who already do to maybe get to know something about you maybe they didn't know. So,
Mm.
I am really, really excited about like how we were talking about this before. We had like probably a whole podcast before we hit record. Anyways, that was we'll figure that out.
Like
That's
a private phone call,
yeah, exactly.
It's
It was
okay.
private. But here we get to share with anyone who wants to listen, a little bit more about you, who you are, how God has been working in your life, and how or what He's called you to, and using your gifts, that He's given you to, bless those around you. So I am
Mm.
super excited. Let's dive in. I would love for you to maybe introduce yourself a little bit. I'm gonna just share a little bit of what I know, but then you fill in all the rest. So,
Got
Kate
it.
is a mama of seven. And actually, I was thinking about this while I was getting milk in the grocery store this morning. I'm like, this is episode, I think we're around episode 5 here, depending on how I get this all put out into the world. And you are the second mother of five that I have introduced or interviewed in 5 episodes. So I'm excited about that. I don't know if that's just me, dreaming and wishing for my family of three to grow. But anyways, you are a mama, you are a wife, you had a career as a dietitian. You're gonna have to clarify for me if you're still practicing as a dietitian.
Nope.
I believe that is your background. And so you have an Instagram account you call Kate's Creative Kitchen. And now, like I mentioned, a brand new podcast that you are launching into the world. So I just love we're like little podcast buddies now too.
Yeah. I loved when you launched your
So,
podcast in the summer.
yeah,
I was like,
yeah. Oh, we're doing this. And
yeah,
like how many months to get episode 2 up? But anyways, we're not
it's
talking
okay.
about that.
It's okay.
That's all right? We're just one day at a time.
Yep.
So yeah, to share a little bit more about who you are. You are out in Eastern Canada,
Yeah, yeah.
and I am just so excited to hear a little bit more about that. But yeah, share with us a little bit more about yourself. How do you balance your passion for helping other people and your busy family life? Like, tell us a little bit about Kate.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So fun. So yeah, I'm Kate. I have been married to Micah for 20 years. We just celebrated 20
Woo!
years in August. We do have 7 kids. Our oldest is 17. And then we have right now, and this time of year from September to November, they're all like 2 years apart. So
Okay.
17, 15, 13, 11, 9, 7, and 5. They're all odd 2 years
Woo.
apart. And then starting in November, everyone turns even for next year, which
Okay.
will be nice. Like when they're all even numbers, the
Yeah.
odd numbers are much harder to count by two than even for
Yeah.
some reason. So we do have 6 boys and just
Wow.
one girl. So our girl came second. She's second in line. She's 15. And her name actually means gift from God, which when we named her, she was such a gift then. And then having 5 boys in a row, after one of my friends spoke kind of prophetically into her life and was like, you are actually such a gift. Like your name has so much power behind it, like just being the little blessing she is to our family. I went to school to have a nutrition degree and then became a registered dietitian, but knew really early on in that internship that the Lord was stirring my heart to have a family and be a stay-at-home mom. So I graduated my internship pregnant with our first. So within 4 months of graduating, he was on the way. So I didn't go into the practice in a normal type of way. I kept my registration where I like wrote the licensing, became a dietitian, and kept that for quite a few years until I decided, hey, you know what? I can still do what I'm doing without having to keep that license. So I have a background in that, but now I teach busy moms how to save money and time and energy with meal planning. So when I worked at a pregnancy resource center in 2006, I believe it was the summer of 2006, I taught a 6 week program on how to eat healthy on a budget. And at that time, some of these moms only ate for $50 a week, like fed their families. That's all they had. Like to think about inflation, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
So Mike and I started putting it into practice. We were like, we're 2 people. We could probably eat for this. And so that's when kind of Kate's Creative Kitchen became because we wanted it to be, tasty food. We didn't want to be eating beans and rice, on $50, but how can we make food delicious, nutritious, and frugal? So actually my meal planning group is called Frugalicious. Like that was also born out of it, where I actually teach 6 practical steps on how moms can save money with meal planning. So yeah, in 2015, when I had baby number 5, I was like, oh my gosh, this is too much. I can't keep on, keep on top of all the credits you need to be a dietitian. So I said, I'm just going to focus straight in on, the computer. Facebook was, more popular. I wasn't really on Instagram like right away. But I started pushing in sort of that way and having meal planning groups online, being able to do Zoom calls like this or Facebook Lives. Do you remember back then? Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'd have like a group
Little
and a Facebook
square or
Live
whatever it was.
teaching moms how to meal plan on a budget. And I was like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is where I want, I really wanted to be home with the kids. I really wanted to just be investing in them. And so it was a way for me to just have a little outlet to do that. So that's sort of where everything kind of came out of. And now as they've gotten older and stuff like that, you're in a new season where you can just do a little bit more.
Yeah, like that was one
Yeah.
of our things we talked about before. Like, you're retired.
Yeah.
During the day
Yes.
for a few hours or
Yeah,
whatever.
for the first time in 17 years, I have nobody in this house with me from the school hours. So our third child said to me, Mom, what are you going to do now that you're retired? Like the night before everyone went to school. And I was like, oh, I never thought about it that way, but I feel like I have less time actually just
Yeah.
doing all this kind of stuff. But anyway, it's been a real joy to walk in every season. So, and I do live on the East Coast. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. We live in a very small province of New Brunswick. It's, stunning here. We love family adventuring and all that kind of stuff. So,
Oh,
yeah.
well, I think it's time for me to come back because I went to the I went to PEI for a wedding.
Oh, so beautiful there.
I think it was 2012, and we road tripped from Southern Ontario. I
Ooh,
was lit my parents lived in London at the time, and so I we road tripped in a five-seater uh sedan, like small
right?
car, like a Hyundai Elantra that was stick shift. I remember driving stick shift, and I am not super good at it, in
Oh
the
my gosh.
rain through Montreal, and I'm like, what am I doing? like, I am gonna kill our family with
That is so brave.
this is like, whoa, what is happening? And it was nighttime too. I think I forgot that part. It was like the middle of the night. So, anyways,
Wow.
but we that was our big family road trip out east. I would have been, yeah, I guess 21. And so then, yeah, my brother was 18 and my sister was younger than that. Oh, God, 14. There you go. Trying to
Right.
do the math in my head. I'm a retired math teacher.
There you go.
So my subtraction isn't as sharp. But so that is so just a question, and I'm just curious about this. So your kids, have they been in school? Like, are they in public school or have you homeschooled? Are they in a
Yeah,
private
so
school?
the
What does
first
homeschool look like?
yeah, the first older ones I did homeschool, which I
Okay.
loved homeschooling.
Yeah.
Because here in our, in New Brunswick, we are a bilingual province.
Yeah.
So they were offering French immersion in grade 3. So
Okay.
he's a very late baby. His birthday's Christmas Day, actually. Our first
Okay.
baby is Christmas Day. So he was only 4. And I felt, well, I know he's going to go to school to take French because that's important to both me and my husband.
Yeah.
So, but I can do everything they're doing and don't have to get up to get the bus and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. So I did homeschool him kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, and then we did our daughter kindergarten, grade 1. And then when I was pregnant with number 5, I would have been around that time. I just felt like I was throwing up all the time and she was just basically holding my hair back, or
Yeah.
it wasn't the same experience. Like we have a really, really lovely homeschooling group in this area that is like they're so supportive. It's such a great community. And I wanted to be able to do all the things I did with the oldest with her. And I just couldn't between having nappers and, like all the littler ones were coming.
Yeah.
At that time, I had 2 napping. I was sick with number, the next one. I just felt like the Lord was releasing me from that when I went and was just sort of crying out to him, like, I don't know what to do. They were all going to be going to school by grade 3 anyway.
Right.
So yeah, it just worked out. And then their first year in school, my son would have been finishing elementary. My daughter would have been going into grade 2, and then I had one in kindergarten. So they were all there with him to show them the rope. So I felt good about it. So yeah,
They're
and our oldest just graduated from the public school system and now is in his first year of university. And I just try to be involved. Like we know all the teachers. I mean, we've been part of the same school system, right? So they
yeah.
know me quite well. I'll be there another 6 years,
Yeah.
having just went to kindergarten. So I try to go in and do library and read and just invest in the teachers there and the principals and yeah, all that kind of stuff. So
It's amazing. That's so encouraging. I think we've been on our own kind of journey and we just moved from, I mean, the other side of Ontario, which is like
yeah,
another country away, basically,
yeah,
as big as Canada is. But and Ontario itself is very large, but our kids started in a Catholic school there because in Kenora, where we were living, the Catholic school was actually like a public option, basically, in the sense
right,
if it was your catchment school, you could get busing right to it. There was no
right, right,
requirement, because neither my husband nor I were baptized in the Catholic Church. But then when we came back home to Elmer now, like this area is home for my husband and where we were living before. The school that we had wanted to send them to, the Catholic school here in town, the requirement in this school board is that you actually have to have at least one parent or
right.
or the child themselves be baptized in the Catholic Church. And so I wrote a letter in to the principal thinking, oh yeah, they've been at a Catholic school already. Like we were baptized, in the church that we were going to as children. I think Derek was maybe in a young teen and I was 11. I'm like giving
Right.
all the information and they're like, thanks, thank you, but no,
No.
that's not how it works. And I'm like, okay. They're like, if you want to, they could be registered by September if you want to, start attending here and get yourselves baptized. So,
Right,
oh man. But because that is where our kids, where some of their cousins are going, the ones that live near.
right.
So, anyways, long story short, our kids are going to the public school here in town. And I wrestled with that. Like I've taught in the public system, I've taught in private Christian schools. I supplied a little bit in their school in Kenora before we had
Hmm.
our third. And so I've seen the ins and outs of school. I know this is like totally, anyways, we're just gonna trust. We prayed and asked God to direct us.
We
So
did, we
I'm
did.
like, we weren't gonna talk about school, but it's just, it's so interesting because I'm encouraged of what you're sharing about being involved because I think that is something I grew up in the public system myself.
Mhm.
I went public school all the way through university, all public education. And my mom was like, she was a nurse at the hospital. She didn't work full time, but she worked, as much as she did. But she was very involved in our school. She was playing piano for the choir. And I
Mhm.
literally remember as a nurse, she got asked to come in and deal with head lice in my sister's
Yeah.
house that one season. I remember walking down the hallway and seeing her. That has been really encouraging to me, just hearing you say that again, of just being involved, because I've felt, and this is probably just a thought I have in my head, but I've felt as a parent just a little bit like distanced from the school. And I know this is probably all in my head and not necessarily all intentional, but my kids started school after the pandemic, and I've just felt like things changed a little bit
Yeah.
here, at least it seems. And so, but just that encouragement to like keep going and keep being involved, because I've held this like longing for homeschooling, like, and
Mhm.
that's something that I've wrestled with, is just this like I really feel like it could be a great fit for our family, but it's not something that we've pursued yet. And so anyways,
Mhm.
that was a little side
Yeah,
tangent.
I would like
I was
to
like
just
curious.
add on
Yeah.
to that
Yeah.
because I do think it's a conversation that moms do ask quite a bit. I've had like a few people reach out and I want to share like what a mentor had shared with me
Mhm.
many years ago. And it's every child every year. So
Mhm.
we're asking the Lord, Lord, what do you have for this child this year? Like, where should we send them? Because I know a lot of times our decisions can be made out of fear. We're fearful
Yeah.
of what's going to happen to them when they're not in our care.
Yeah.
And then we make decisions out of fear, which aren't always the best decisions for
Uh,
our family. And so I always encourage parents to ask the Lord, like, He's going to tell you what is the best for each kid
mm,
and to be involved and to know that you ultimately are their mom, which means you have authority over them. So you
yeah.
have a spiritual authority over who they become and who they are, to be like praying into that, to be speaking into that.
Mm,
And you have like their authority. So if something's going down with a school system, we have been so fortunate. Our school system is very good. The teachers we've had them for a lot of years because our older kids have had the same teachers. And it's like, if anything comes up, I'm calling them, I'm messaging them. They're knowing my standard in a loving way. It's like, hey, this is going on right now.
mhm,
I would like my kid to be excused from the classroom during this time. Or if my kid feels uncomfortable or knows this is something that maybe we don't align with, I
mm,
would like them to be like, it's okay for them to leave. And they know that. And just to have like, oh, my mom will deal with this. Like, I actually don't have to deal with it. I could just get up and like kind of go out, like, not disrespectfully, it's only if like something crazy is happening, like, or they're showing something that they know that we wouldn't allow them to watch here,
right.
um, that they do have that, the covering to be able to do that. And so yeah, just Mike and I thinking through each of our kids' personalities, um, who they are, what season they're in, to be like, hey, I'm retired right now, but that doesn't mean I might not be homeschooling some middle schoolers in the future, like, because it's just not a good fit for
Yeah.
who they are and in a season they're in. And that's okay. Like, the Lord will sustain me in that time. So yeah, I'm always encouraging parents, to do that and to never feel like you're a failure if you need to change your mind. Like, it was like, no, I didn't fail because I didn't homeschool my kids right to grade 12. Like, I literally felt a, such a release, like when it was time to let them go. Like, I felt the Lord's covering in that. And the school has been such a blessing to us. We have one kid that he wouldn't do well here. He is an athlete. Like, he has made every school team, like he's thriving, in his athletic ability through a school system that I couldn't give him here, even though we gave pretty much like a baseball team, you know. So yeah, just to you always have the right to change your mind. It's not everything for 12 years, you can make adjustments as seeing fit and knowing that you ultimately carry the spiritual authority over who they are. you know,
Well,
and
I
always
don't
be.
know. Sorry, go ahead. What were
No,
you?
no. I was just gonna continue on, but I could
Yeah.
blabble forever. But I was gonna be like, just training at home. Like a lot of times we want to shelter them, but it's like, hey, these are some topics you need to know. These are some words you need to be aware of that,
Mm,
if they come up, you're allowed to leave. Like just even at a little age, a young age, and having those lots of conversations, like that's we don't need to be fearful
yeah,
of the world,
yeah.
that our kids
It's,
live in.
it's
Even though we want to be like that,
yeah,
like there
no,
are
that's our
times
flesh
that
for
you're like, I just want to protect them, but you're just like, okay, Lord,
yeah.
how do we walk in the world and not be of the world? Like,
100%. And I think
yeah,
I mean, as long as our plan goes accordingly, we might be recording a little mini episode after this.
yeah.
And
Well,
because I honestly
my screen is so dirty.
is what that is.
Sorry.
There's a little dust bunnies flying,
Yes.
sparkling. I
Keeping it real. This is real
Yeah,
life
right?
content. That's my thing. I
No
don't do
edits
fake
here.
content. Here it
I think
is.
I think that whole concept is just something that was so encouraging to me. And so I don't know who else needed to hear it, but I definitely did. And I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, mama, like, I'm just gonna come under your like it just, but I think that that whole concept of finding somebody who's gone ahead, like I'm looking to you and being like, okay, I have an 8-year-old son right now and I am wrestling. And I'm like, now
Mhm.
I know I might have to like message Kate and just be like, Kate, all right, what do we do when this
Yeah,
happens? Like,
100%.
because we're navigating it for the first time. Like you are navigating a child in university for the first time.
Hmm.
And so finding someone who has adult children, it's like, how did we get through these? What does
Yep.
university years look like? Like
Yeah.
let go of certain things that when they were, in my house all the time, but that letting go and that open-handedness, I think that was literally, I was praying yesterday morning, like everything I have, Lord, even my children, like I hold them with an open
Hmm.
hand to you because it is hard. Like when your kids, I find Bray's coming home and sharing certain things, and I'm like, okay, like Lord, give me the right words. Like, give me
Hmm.
wisdom and how to disciple him and how to love him and not just be like, no, no, like, we don't do this, we don't do that.
Yep.
Like, but also being gentle and like being a safe place where he wants to be honest
Hmm.
and share hard things and
Yeah.
being grateful that he is still doing that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you for going there with me. I didn't know that's what we're gonna do today.
That was not on the
Yeah, that
question.
was not on the question. Not
So
on the
the Lord wants somebody to
Yeah.
be released of fear
Yeah.
and, changing your mind and what other people think.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Amen. Amen. Um, it's so good. Okay, so you mentioned one of your roles that you love is helping busy moms save money, save time and sanity in the kitchen with your experience as a dietitian and as a mom of seven. And I was wondering, so one of my favorite things to see, and this is actually something I like to do sometimes too, is like share a little bit of like what we found at Costco or a little like a top meal planning tip that you have or like I said, like a Costco find that's been like a game changer for your family? Is there something? Give us a little taste of like what it would be like being
Little
in that
tip.
frugalicious group or
Yeah, yeah. So one of the things, like I have been teaching meal plan for a long time, like almost 20 years. I've been teaching people how to meal plan. And recently I have been addicted to these things called meal planning matrix. I don't know if you've seen it on my thing,
Yes, you've
but
given
what
me
you
some, I
do,
believe.
yeah. So what you do is kind of I have a theme. So let's break down fall. So I have a fall theme. So then I pick 5 kind of categories. So you have things like slow cooker, because you like to have that out. Maybe a soup or a stew. We always do like a Friday night fake out night, something like that. So you have 5 categories. And then within those 5 categories, they have 8 different meals under each category. So then you pin this thing to your fridge, and every week when you look at it, you just have to pick one meal from each category. So it's 40 meals done for you for the fall season. So things like spaghetti, it could be lasagna, it could be butter chicken, just Taco Tuesday, just to simplify your life a little more and say, hey, for this season, these are the 40 meals we're making. So I started it 2 summers ago, maybe when I sort of revamped our summer thing. And I was like, these are the 40 meals we are eating every, like for the summer, because we live on a lake. We are going to be at the lake until the last possible second that dad gets home before we have to come up here and eat supper. And we're meal planning things like a hot dog bar,
Yeah.
like hamburgers, chicken burgers, salads. My kids love making salads. They love chicken Caesar salad wraps. So we ate very simple for that summer. And I was like, this is amazing. So then I created a fall one. Then I have like a spring one. So you can like rotate them. And I just released this summer like 10 of those. So it was like 400 meals. It was so many meals. So they had different themes. Like I did a whole camping one. Lots of my followers have Blackstones now, like our one of our closest friends loves his Blackstone, and then because he's the pastor of our church, like was like, "This is awesome." So then it feels like everybody has
Everyone.
a Blackstone. So
Very
one whole thing
influential
is just
man.
everything you can make on the Blackstone. Like it's 40 Blackstone meals, which is
Wow.
incredible. There was like lots of summer ones because people do soccer in the summer or baseball or you're at the pool. So it was like, what are travelable meals that you can take with you? So that has been huge. I have lots of them. Like you said, you've grabbed one. I use those all the time as freebies to give out because like that's just my heart is to help women to feel a little less stressed. I find we keep a lot in our brains. We are overwhelmed. Lots of our friends work outside the home. Like I don't have no idea how any of my friends who work outside the home do it. You guys are amazing, literally. To be able to work all day and then come home and make supper. Like I don't even work outside the home all day and I don't want to make I'm just
Yeah.
like when the kids come home from school, they've been home like an hour and I'm like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So just
Ashley had me on her
having,
podcast all day. I'm so
yeah. Oh
tired.
my gosh. I was busy doing what, mom? Yeah. So meal planning definitely has helped. And as well as like taking off that mental load, like you're at work, you already know what you're going to make for supper. You've taken the meat out on the way to work. Or, I don't do any of those like prepping on Sunday, but lots of people who work, have to do that. But you already know, so you're not thinking about that all day. You're not dreading coming home. You're not dreading the 4:30, like, what am I going to have? Because, Sammy has soccer at 5:30 and we need to be able to eat in 45 minutes. It's like it's already prepped for you or made for you or like in your mind. And on top of that, meal planning saves a ton of money. Like I'm sure you've seen every year we like calculate how much we've spent. We're very like studious budgeters. Is that the word? My husband is like all receipts. It's in the Excel sheet. Like I have a best friend I text every budget night. I'm like, it's a budget night. Ask me a million questions, like so we are able to calculate exactly what we spend at the grocery store. And every year it comes in like so far under what it is estimated an average family of four would eat. It's like slightly above, and it's like I'm feeding 9 people. And for the most part, our home has always been open to my friend, like my kids' friends. So it's not uncommon that I'm feeding, 3 or 4 extra mouths on top of our family of 9. Like, what's a few more
Whatever.
on the
Throw 'em
weekends
in.
or, in the summer, we do live on a lake. We live on a beautiful ministry property here. Um, so they're, our friends are, hey, just want to hang out. We got a, bag of burgers. We can just, do that. So even with doing that, I'm still able to save, quite a bit of money with meal planning. So I love being able to help moms be able to do that, have plans because I always talk about if you don't have a plan, that cauliflower is rotting in the drawer.
Yeah.
And then you throw it away and you just wasted $4 because
Exactly.
you're a different person at the grocery store than you are when you're home. You're like, "Oh, I'm gonna look at that cauliflower. I'm gonna, do something with that." And then you have no plan for it. And then next week you're just like, oh, it
Well,
rotted. And then you
there it
do the
goes.
cycle again, right? So
That's
that's
like
one thing.
my
And
coach this morning.
yeah,
He's
yeah,
like, "What did you think you're making with it?" Like I was gonna have salads.
I
I
know.
just didn't.
It happens to the best of us. Yeah. And as for Costco, I mean, there's I if you start following me on social media, you'll notice that I do Costco hauls for our family of nine. People really seem to enjoy what I buy at Costco. Every time's a little bit different. I do have some favorites there. But one thing when I read your question, I was like, absolutely, the rotisserie chicken is a game changer. And we raise our own chickens here. Like I have a freezer full of the most delicious chickens, and I still buy that 7.99 chicken every time at Costco. I'm just like I'm slightly crunchy and then slightly not crunchy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Oh,
I'm here
yeah.
for like convenience because I found if I don't feed myself, it's not good. And a lot of moms like one of the titles of my podcast like is the protein part. I'm like, we don't feed ourselves. We eat scraps off the kids' plates or we drink an abundance of coffee all day long thinking that's what we need to like wake up or have energy. You know, we'll go all day without eating.
Mhm.
And a few years ago, I was like, oh, I actually have to take this protein thing seriously. So just buying one of those chickens to be able to rip apart and like eat in a salad or just eat with like some ramen noodles. I don't know.
Yeah.
With a little sauce on them. Just having that chicken in the fridge is so helpful. And then I have like, I've created a guide on 10 meals you can make from that one rotisserie chicken. So to help, moms save money to be like, hey, you ever think about that chicken? You could actually have it as a chicken dinner, but you can also make chicken nachos, barbecue chicken pizza. You can make chicken quesadillas. Like there's so many things we can do with this one, $8 chicken. So that's my
I'm learning.
Costco game changer.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? It's funny because so our Pampered Chef air fryer, the very first one that came out, well, now there's a new model, but it had a rotisserie um,
Ooh.
bit. Like, so we could buy the $5 chickens when they're on sale at Safeway and Kenora. That's kind of the cheap price I
Yep.
would find. And then I would make my own with the rotisserie seasoning. And so then I stopped buying the rotisserie chickens. But when you said you raise chickens, and you still buy because I think I just in my head I'm like, well, I could make it really easily. Like I could, but that didn't mean I was. And it still does take 45 minutes to cook when you're literally buying one chicken that is $2 more and probably
Yeah.
bigger than the one
Like
that's on
I'll
sale.
do our chickens for like a really nice roast chicken dinner,
Yeah.
but to just have a rotisserie chicken in my fridge to be able to eat for me at lunchtime or even our
Yeah.
older son, going to university or just when the kids come home from school, they have to have something protein. I'm like, I don't care, rip something off that chicken.
Yeah.
Or my husband's actually really good at breaking it down. We have like one specific container that like the chicken will fit in. So he's really good at breaking it down where I'm not. I'm just
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Rip it
ripping
off.
it off, but whatever.
I love it. And that honestly, like I think as somebody, I grabbed these. So I don't know if you're like me and you bought this, to
Oh yeah.
fridge, or even with Pampered Chef, they gave me, and
Oh
it's like,
yes.
it's got the menu. I've even got my like featured product that I'm gonna highlight in my video that I make, and then I've got my grocery list on the side that tears off. But do I use it? No. I used it for like a few weeks, maybe. I don't know. I
And
got,
that's like a mom hack that if the kids know what's they're going to eat for supper, then they don't talk. Like they're not like, what's for supper? What are you making? What's here? And
yeah,
I did find like if you have picky eaters or where we have so many eaters, it's like, hey, everybody choose a meal because I do by the month. So I'm like,
right,
everyone choose a meal they want. We're going to put it on the calendar. Then if
yeah,
they don't like a meal, it's like, hey, this might not be your favorite, but your meal is
right.
coming. Like, don't forget,
Uh-huh.
like we all kind of take turns on that. So it just sort of incorporates everybody into the process. And of course, when we write it down, it actually comes out of our mind.
Right.
And then it releases and frees that space up so we're not thinking about it, right? Like if you have it written down, then I knew like, oh, on my way to spin, like before I go to spin this morning, I actually have to take chicken out of the oven or out of the freezer
Yeah.
so that I can cook it for
Right.
tonight, like to make butter
Yes.
chicken for our
Totally.
Wednesday night fast convenient meal,
Right.
because the butter chicken sauce also is another great Costco
Yes. Yes. I second that. I just used it the other night. So
I love making homemade butter chicken, but then we tried that once and my husband was like, "Why are you making why? Just this
that
is
simmering those
delicious."
tomatoes took a very long time.
Yeah, so I'm
I
like, I know it's delicious, but just in this season of our life, we're like, "Hey, it's okay. It still fits
totally.
in our budget because we've meal planned it and it stays on the shelf and
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I think too of like, because I made like I had my Looney Spoons cookbook and it has
I
the
love that cookbook.
amazing butter
Yeah.
chicken recipe. And yet, like, I did that before we had kids and we loved it. And I don't think I've made it in 8 years. Like I just
Yeah.
because it did that recipe took a long time to simmer the tomatoes, right? And
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm gonna dump the sauce in the pressure cooker
Mhm.
with my chicken breast and turn it on. Like that's what
Yeah.
I'm doing right now, and that's okay. And there may be another season where I make butter chicken from scratch, and that's
100%.
great. Like,
Yep.
and one is not better or worse, I don't think. I mean, maybe health,
No.
I don't know. A dietitian, what do you think?
Yeah. You got to do what works for your family. That's the thing. I'm like, if you love making all that stuff from scratch and you love doing that,
Mhm,
do that because that brings you life. And, as long as you're not feeling stuck or burnout or just feel like you're always constantly doing that,
mhm,
but if there's a convenience food, I actually am a very unpopular opinion on the meal planning thing because I am like 100% for you need to buy convenience food,
mhm.
especially when it's on sale. Because if you don't, you're going through the drive-through and you're just wasted or not wasted, but spent way more money than if you would have just bought the frozen pizza for $5. So
Totally.
I used to think that like we're not buying any convenience food, we don't have money for it. And then I'd be like peeling, like cutting on my own French fries Sunday after church. And I'd be like, I feel like this is not what I want. Like I would rather just go out and buy it. We don't have the money to do that, back,
Yeah.
a few years ago. We don't have the money to eat out right now at nine, 9 people. It's a very special occasion. But I was like, oh, but if I just buy the French fries for 6.99 at Costco, that giant bag,
Mhm.
then it's like, oh, when the kids are home and Mike and I are out or something, they can make supper, or it's just like a much quicker way. Like if I need those things there. Same with frozen pizza or any convenience foods that you like the cans
Yeah.
of butter chicken and,
Yeah.
to just make your life that much easier.
Yes, yes. Well, and I think I love the idea of the matrix in the sense that I could take something like this, and for those who are
Hmm.
just listening and can't see me right now, you can go over to YouTube and see the video. But it's just one of those like tear off pages you can get on Amazon, like what to eat, and it's got the meals of the week, whatever, right?
Yep.
Week. Um, if you have that matrix like of 40 meals, like just being able to pull, because that's what got stuck for me is like I'd be sitting flipping through recipe books or like scrolling online and like that guy that I like following cooking through the Midwest or whatever his name
Hmm.
like and I'm like scrolling through all his reels trying to find the one that I wanted and I'm like this is taking too long. I'm just going to figure it out on the day. And I abandoned the plan, but then I'm like if I have something that's like here you can pick from these 40 meals and they go in for the week. Like that just to me that
Yep.
eliminates like the brain space of like trying to find the meals from
Hmm.
wherever you're looking. So
Yeah.
I love that you have created that. It's like a reminder to me, go back and like look at the thing she sent
Yeah,
you.
print it off. You can go if you
Right?
don't have a printer at home, like I print at Staples.
Yeah.
You print them off. Some people have put them in the sleeves.
Yeah.
You can use the whiteboard markers to
Yeah.
just sort of circle up what you want to make and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then
Amazing.
it helps you actually save money because you're looking for things on sale.
Yes.
Or you're like, hey, when chicken breast is on sale, I'm going to stock up because I know I make, 6 meals out of chicken breast that I'll need. Or when chicken thighs go on sale or ground beef, you can be stocking up on the meats you use most often
Right.
for those meals. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and that is, I mean, I'm no expert, but that has been a huge tip for me of like of doing exactly that, like stocking up. I mean, we have a chest freezer that we have in our garage, and that is where the chicken lives. Like it
Yeah.
is pretty much full of chicken breast because that is what my husband prefers. Like he just
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure, I like chicken thighs or whatever, but he refuses to
Oh,
eat chicken thigh. So I'm like, when chicken breast is on sale, that's what
yep.
I'm stocking up
Yep.
on. You know,
Yep.
for us, no frills has been like 10 a kilo very frequently since we moved here, and we're like, this is what people pay for chicken down here. Like we thought $14 was a good deal. Like,
Right.
but this like $10 a kilo, we're like, what is happening down in Southern Ontario? Yeah, I don't know what would the New Brunswick price be? Like what would your like a good sale
Oh,
price?
I don't even know. Sometimes Walmart, I don't know how big the packages are, but they'll do like 4 chicken breasts for 9.50 was like the last really good
Yeah. Yeah.
price, but I don't know what that
Yeah.
is per.
per
per
kilo.
pound
Yeah.
that they have.
Yeah.
But usually those packages would be maybe like $12 for four
Right.
gross or
Yes.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that like I'm trying to think of like the kind of container that would have four to five like medium-ish size chicken breasts, not Costco chicken breasts, but
Yeah.
that would be I think when it's around $10 a kilo, it would be like $9 or something like that. So
Yeah.
'cause yeah, it would be around a kilo of chicken, I think.
Right. Right.
Yeah, okay. Well, you
It's
mentioned
expensive.
a word that kind of made me think about what I want to talk with you about next. And you had mentioned about burnout. So I know for you, you mentioned even about your pastor and his Blackstone and that your faith is something that is so important to you. And that has been something I have had just such a joy watching you and getting to know you. Because for me, that feels like, this is a sister that's just lives a little further away
Yeah. Yeah.
that I can connect with. And I saw, well, we'll just mention, Kate did teach over 1,000 women for a spring spiral Your Way's Better dance recently. I
Yes,
just saw
just
that.
last
I'm
weekend
like,
at a women's conference.
okay, well, if she can teach 1,000 people, she might even be able to teach this girl how to do the dance. So we're gonna have to, I'm like, do we FaceTime? How do we figure this out? Because I don't think I'm doing it here, because then I'd be revealing the pants that I'm wearing right now.
Oh gosh.
I want you to share a little bit more. So you're a mom of seven, you're a wife. Like how has your faith influenced just how you parent, your marriage, your friendship is also something I've seen as a big theme for you, and you
hmm
share about a lot online too about a female friendship, about friendship, as women, as believers. Um, is there a story that you want to share with us, or something personal that happened in your life that has really played a key role in raising your family, or even as in your professional life? Like what is there something that kind of comes to mind? I know you mentioned a bit about burnout, but yeah.
Yeah, so for Um, I just kind of shared on the Back Corner podcast I was just on, which my pastor and his another pastor friend run. It's a very good
Okay.
podcast. But I just kind of shared my testimony of how I met Jesus when I was 19, from a really dark season. And I encountered his love at 19 at a summer camp. And 6 months later, that December, I was at like a Christian New Year's event because the old Katie would have been out partying and drinking and all that stuff. And now I was a new person. And so I went to this Christian New Year's event with a bunch of the people I worked at that Christian summer camp with. And I met Micah that night. So 6 months after I became a believer, I met Micah. We dated for 2.5 years and then got married in August of '05.
Hmm.
Uh, so that journey of just like the Lord really uprooting a lot of things in my heart, um, refining me, sanctifying me during that
Hmm.
season was so critical during the university, like second, third, and fourth year. When I went back after becoming a Christian, my second year, I had already known one Christian guy, and he introduced me to like we call it like Christian fellowship on university
Yeah, yeah,
campuses,
yeah.
IVCF.
Oh,
Yeah. So he introduced me to his friends, and those friendships were so meaningful to me. And I think that's where the Lord really did something special in my heart about Christian community and living in Christian community, and
mm,
how they really, building those friendships helped me walk it out with the Lord, like to
mm,
learn to be discipled, to um, I mean, it wasn't easy. I want to say
mm,
it was like
mhm,
probably like the hardest years of my life, like coming from what
mm,
you didn't do to like this new life, right? Like it was like shedding off all those layers, but having a Christian community to walk through those with me was really important. And
mm,
then when Mike and I got married and I was doing my internship, I know the Lord had really spoken to me about having, being a stay-at-home mom during that
mm,
time. In my internship, a lot of it's a very woman field, like the dietetic world, and they all wanted to be home with their kids. And I remember just being like, what? why aren't you? Like if, and it was sort of like we've mortgaged everything on two incomes. So I remember going back to Micah, we were so poor, like 20 years, our first year of marriage. It was like, I don't ever want to be like that, that I can't actually stay home because we have a house that we can't afford or a car we can't afford, like anything like that. So just learning to walk things out as a husband and wife was very, you learn some, yeah,
Mm.
together and
Yeah.
praying together. So I knew I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And then when I had Eben, I had a neighbor take me to a mom's group at a local church that was really close to where we had bought our first house in Moncton, New Brunswick, actually. The church I just taught the dance at,
Yeah.
that
Okay.
mom's club was actually. And I just remember being like, okay, this is what it's like to be a mom, like a Christian mom, having other Christian moms around you. There were like people in seasons, ahead of me.
Mm.
And that time was just so powerful to be able to learn. That's where I got a mentor, an older woman who was a mentor. She had 10 children and she shared her testimony one of these mornings, because they would kind of do a testimony morning. And she shared about how the Lord had laid on her heart to have a lot of kids, like just to let him have their family size. And
Mm.
I remember going home and that night I was like, so you might want to sit down. Like I feel the Lord has, really spoken to me today from this testimony of my friend. And Micah was like, okay. So I kind of shared. And we had like been meeting like some really cool people of big families, like
Mm.
in Moncton. And so he had took his own time, asking the Lord. And within a few months, it was like, okay, Lord, we will give you our family size, whatever that looks like. I will choose to stay home and raise however many kids you kind of give us. And so Micah kind of made a joke like it's either we have 10 kids or I turn 40, whatever kind of comes first. So that was our journey for those years of having babies. And when the last one came, June 2020, Micah turned 40 in January of 2021. So it was like, all right,
There
seven
we
is
go.
in.
Seven it is.
So
That's
the
a
number
pretty
of
special number.
perfection. We
Yeah.
didn't have any twins. So they were all individual births. And I just felt the Lord was, that season, even looking back, I'm like, I was telling some younger moms who I'm in a Bible study with, I was like, I don't even know how I did it. Like thinking back and watching them be pregnant and how sick they've been or the postpartum, I'm like, how did I do that so many times? It was obviously the Lord's grace and his goodness that,
Amen.
or I was blind to it. I don't know what was going on. I don't know why no one was like, okay, what's happening here? And I'm an only child, so that's a pretty shocking. Like I don't
Wow.
have any siblings. My sweet parents are amazing to be like, hey, we had one kid and now we have seven grandkids. Like we have more grandkids than, people that had multiple kids.
Yeah.
So they have been so gracious through the process of being like, are you guys done? We're like, we don't know
We're not
until we turn
sure.
40. We're not really sure. And then it was for the burnout thing. I was telling you, I just spoke at a mom's group for the first time about my burnout season last Tuesday, and it was the mom's group that I had gone to
Mm.
17 years ago with my very first son, like, so it was
Mm.
kind of a full circle moment to be asked to come back. And it was, I shared on walking through burnout and anxiety in that season of 2022, coming out of the pandemic, coming out of carrying all the garbage that came with that. My body just shut down. My mind felt good. I felt like I'm in the best season of my life. My older ones can babysit. My husband traveled a lot for work. Like after baby number six, he had 7 trips by the time, number six was 6 months old. Like I did
Wow.
it, like I was I'm very high functioning. I'm like, this is my domain. I am the CEO of this house. I treat it like a work, like
Yeah.
this is my job.
Yeah.
Um, so I fell on top of the world. I'm like, okay, he's going back traveling. I'm going to be amazing. And my body just shut down. That pit in your stomach, that nervous belly that just never seems to go away. Like at one point I thought I was pregnant. I was like, what is going on? I cannot be pregnant for Rod. I don't know what is happening. It took 3 trips to the doctor. I stopped sleeping. I just could not stop crying. I felt like I told my kids like after when you watch Inside Out 1 and you watch Riley and all of a sudden all her islands start going black and falling, like
Mhm.
that's what I felt like inside. It was like I still had like it was just so it was so weird. I don't, hormones and all that kind of stuff. I just felt like everything was just going black, like all these things. So thankfully my doctor at the time was a lovely Christian man. He's since retired. He took time to pray with me and then, asked me some questions and was like, "Hey, this is anxiety and burnout. Like, you're exhausted. You've had
Mhm.
7 babies in this many years, and your body just needs some time." And so that was a really hard season to have to unmask that, to be this high functioning Instagram, everything looks perfect. And really inside you're dying. And, I shared at the when I talked to the group on how even though online presence people didn't know, I was walking with a very close group of friends that knew what was going on. Like that's
Mhm.
what I find is more important. Like you want to live vulnerable and authentic online, but at the same time, I couldn't do that unless I got help first. Like I'm only now able to like talk about that season with everybody and to
Yeah.
bring encouragement and help because I nurtured it with just a few friends that actually really, really cared and could take care of that feeling. You know what I'm kind of saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. a
I
hundred
remember it was so bad I didn't even want to go to church. And I don't know if you can tell this, but I'm pretty
percent.
extra. Yeah.
I
And I
wonder
love
why we get
church.
along so well.
I love church. And I remember one Sunday after everything was going down, and I was said to Mike, I can't go to church. Like I can't. I feel so sick. I don't know what's wrong. I literally was taking so many Pepto-Bismol pills, thinking it was just my guts, like just thinking my stomach's upset or food makes me sick or
Mhm.
I couldn't explain it. And he goes, "No, babe, we're actually going to go today. You're going to go out for prayer. We're going to take this mask off and we're going to get help. And the Lord's going to start work. Like we're going to get breakthrough." I remember just crying that whole service, just trying to worship, and just a few of my friends knew. And then at the end of the service, they always open the altar for prayer time with like our prophetic and ministry team. And I went up and it was just like this thing. It was like, okay, you admitted what's happening.
Mhm.
You're not bad, like because we carry that shame, like we must not trust or something's happening. And it was like, nope, this is just a natural thing that my body is going through. I'm going to walk with the Lord through it. I'm going to walk with my doctor. I'm going to get medicine. I'm going to start sleeping so then I can start healing. And those next 2 years of going to counseling, continuing to get prayer, continuing to walk with a group of women, which I think is so important to find good, godly friendships. Continuing, like our church runs a Celebrate Recovery program, which is amazing. And it's not just for addicts. A lot of people think Celebrate Recovery, it runs across Canada. So there's probably lots in Ontario as well, like Celebrate Recovery
Mhm.
programs. They think it's for mainly addicts, drug addicts, alcohol. Alcoholics, things like that. But it's actually for everyday people, like who just have some hangups, who have some the pandemic was pretty traumatic for everybody. And then you're parenting on top of that, and they're going to school and they're not going to school. And, just the uncertainty of everything that's going on. And it was like, oh no, I just actually need some help peeling back some layers
Mhm.
to this whole thing. And I just actually just need some help in this season. So just doing those for 2 years and coming out the other side going, okay, I was able to come off medicine because now I can sleep because I got that healing and help I needed to actually, get better. So I could start sleeping and start exercising and start
Mhm.
taking care of myself spiritually. And just the amount of verses I would just say over myself when your anxious thoughts just start
Mhm.
spiraling. You're like, nope, I'm going to sit in these scriptures. I'm going to, the Get Out of Your Head book. I think I did that in that season with Jenny Allen. That
Yeah.
was really, really good. And yeah, so I am huge about living in community with people. If you are a mom and you have little kids, going to a mom's group, finding women at church that have kids your same age, super helpful. And
Mhm.
then, like some of these friendships I have now, I have them from 13 years ago when we started going to church and our oldest were babies, and it's like, oh, we've remained friends. Like our kids might not be the best of friends, like they go
Yeah.
to different schools, but they're
Yeah.
still part of the same youth group. Our families still hang out. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
just is it's like nothing other, like nothing else, like than to have a Christian community that you feel very connected to
Mm.
do life with.
I couldn't agree more, honestly.
Yeah.
I think, and that is something I think I've seen in myself, like in this transition that we've gone through, because we developed that in Kenora. We were there for five
Yeah.
years and our babies were little. Like we brought up a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. And
Right.
and then the pandemic started 6 weeks after we moved. And it
Right.
was like, but we had to. I had to. My husband, he was working outside of the home, so he had colleagues. There were
Right.
people he was connecting with, but I was like, I need people. And we're being given these rules and restrictions about who we're supposed to be allowed to get together with and not and whatever. But like
Yeah.
that was something that was cultivated in those years and these deep friendships. Like we studied the Bible together, we met together, we were trying to
Hmm.
like study while we had our babies running around and pray together late.
We Zoomed party every Saturday
Yes,
night in our
I
jammies.
love
Like we were just like, whoever wants to jump on Zoom, we're going to be there. We did all those like online trivia games just every Saturday night. I was like, hey, I'm going to be sitting on Zoom Saturday night. Sometimes I might be in my bed, sometimes I might, whatever. But anybody jump on and we would just have these Zoom parties and everybody would be chatting and give people questions on what did we do this week or yeah, just finding ways to do that. Yeah.
and build that community, I think is
Yeah.
so important. Well, I'm gonna jump ahead because we might come back to the question about the well, hmm. Actually, let's do it. I'm gonna stick with my plan that I had, but I just want to acknowledge like what you shared. Like if there is somebody that is in that season right now, I just want you to hang on here because Kate does have some encouragement for you specifically. But we're gonna we're gonna just like jump to another thing right now because I do want to get to it because this is something I really admire about you and I love seeing how you support local businesses as somebody who, loves like meal planning, budgeting, like you said, or maybe you don't love budgeting as much as someone else in your household.
I love a good deal, but
Yes,
this
you do.
the entering the receipts
The
is
budget night, the spreadsheet. But yeah, so I want you, so you live in New Brunswick, as you said, you from my observation are a strong supporter of local businesses. How do you incorporate supporting local businesses with your meal planning, or do you have any like tips for families who are looking to support local? They're wanting to support people in their community but also like struggling, like they're sticking with a budget. Like,
mm.
have any tips for people who are looking to do that as well? Or even like why is it good to support local? I don't know. What's your thoughts
Yeah,
on
yeah, totally. I think more for the meal planning thing, we have a farmer's market. We have lots of places that sell local fruits and vegetables. We have our own gardens here. We do our own chickens, and it's not easy. Like, it's not
that?
cheap to raise your own food. And so when we do our chickens, I watch my husband get up super early before he goes to work. He's out there moving the chicken tractor, he's feeding them, he's lugging water, he's doing all the things to make sure these meat birds survive and they thrive. And so when we finish our product, when we have a product and he puts a pricey price tag on that product, I'm like, I actually know the labor and the work, and we had to buy all the grain. We
Mhm.
buy the feed, even though they're still grass fed, you still have to, buy some food for them. Like, it's a lot of work, and you're not coming out rich. You know what I mean? Like, so it does cost a little bit more, but it's like, oh, these are actual people, putting in the time and putting in the work. So I would just encourage with your meal planning, like, who doesn't want to eat the most freshest, delicious fruits and vegetables, locally grown in their season? Like, when
Yeah.
you have a real strawberry grown locally in the summer, and then you have like a one that you would buy in February for Valentine's Day. There's really just no comparison. And it actually isn't that much more expensive. Like we've gone to U-Picks for a lot of years, picked a lot of flats, and then froze them all ourselves
Mm,
or to save money in the long run. Or in the fall, we always buy 50 to 100 pounds of squash from, a local farmer. And then I cook it and freeze that all because it'll be more expensive in the winter. And we really like squash. We love to have squash with our suppers. And so it does take more work
mm,
to do that. Even apples, like going to an apple orchard, picking for 50 cents an apple, coming home and peeling all those up so that you have a few 8-cup bags in your freezer to make those apple crisps. So
yeah.
those are certainly not outside of anybody's budget, I don't think, to be able to do that. Outside of your maybe time frame of if you can actually do it before it all rots, that's where we're at. But
Mm,
I support more local on like their businesses. I would say
mm,
like somebody if I know sells Norwex or if I know sells Pampered Chef, like you're going to be like, "Hey, these are my friends."
mm.
Not every product is going to be for me or what I like or within my budget, but I can find something. Like I actually have the Pampered Chef apple cutter that I love, like that thing that
Yeah.
goes down. So
Oh,
I'm like, "Hey, you know what?" Or that's the strawberry slicer. I actually really
yeah.
love that one.
Yeah.
The what's the bar pan? I have one of
Yeah.
those. So
Yeah.
like there are a few things that you're like, hey, I actually use these. So
Yeah.
every time I use them, I'm actually just going to tag you in them because I know
Yeah.
you sell Pampered Chef to be like, hey, if you want to know more about this, check out my friend. So I really like doing that. And that's where the heart behind like the Kate's Kitchen Party, Christmas Kitchen Party came from, which is so fun. And I just reach out. I'm like, hey, anybody on this account that has a small business that makes, I don't know, candles or earrings or headbands, lip balms, like anything, just send them to me. Like, or if you're even local, I'll come pick them up or we can meet up. And I'm going to share for 7 days all these products that are coming in. I'm going to share them on my story, or I'm going to take some photos and have them, and I'm going to tag your business for you because that puts more eyes on local people too. They're for me in our family size, there's going to be places to get things cheap and thrifted, but there's also space to have nice candles. Like
Yeah,
I want
exactly.
I want the soy
Yeah.
based
Yeah.
smelling can. I want like that's the semi crunchy. I'm like
Right.
semi
Love it.
crunchy.
Love it.
I want the good bath bomb, the good bath salts and stuff
Mm.
like that. I don't want Dollarama bath salts.
No.
I want like that's my crunchy, I'm somewhat crunchy and somewhat
Yeah.
not crunchy. So just supporting them and also like just being an encourager, like that's one of my giftings, like
Mm,
is to encourage people. So every time you see something on social media, like it is actually free to just like your friend's stuff, to just be like, hey, I like that. That's going to shoot that out to the algorithm even more, or even to comment on it, or to
yeah.
share it, or just be like, hey, I really like this product, or you're doing a great job. Like every
Mm,
time you just comment on a piece of social media, you don't actually understand what it's doing for us as content creators on there. It actually is really helping us. So
yeah.
that's just even free, like, hey, let's just give each other like a yes.
Seriously. And I just don't sometimes, I mean, yeah, I go through my
Yeah, of course. We all
phase
do.
of social media where I'm like, oh, but like that just right there, like going and like, cause I'll stumble across, a friend's photo of her kids that she posted, and like nobody has commented on it, and I'm like, your kids are this is so beautiful, like, but like, we're literally putting ourselves out there, just,
Yep.
wanting to connect, wanting to encourage, wanting to inspire, and like taking that time to appreciate other people's work,
Hmm.
and their thoughts, and their beauty, like whatever it is, and just thanking them for that, like, goes such a long way. And
Yeah. And I
yeah,
know with the strikes, it's been so hard. Like I've seen some small businesses, which is like had massive numbers and they were so successful, just crumble
yeah,
under two strikes in 1 year with our
yeah,
postal system. So that's so devastating for them because like the hearts, they're mostly moms, who are just trying to like make some income so they can stay home with their kids. So if you can just support them in any way, I'm all for that. I'm just like, hey, you're doing a great job.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's so good. Kate, I did not know. I did not know. Like, even you were talking about 19, like giving your life to the Lord. I'm like, yeah, me too. And then you're like, InterVarsity. I'm like, wait, what? Me too. Like, I did not know our stories.
We're besties.
We're like, you just like a few years ahead. And I'm not gonna say how old I was in 2005, but I will say that I am so grateful for you. I'm so grateful because like you. I I I've never met you in real life, but yet here we are in person, I guess I should say, because it is real, and the internet is
Yeah.
still real life.
Yeah.
Like
We're real. I'm
we're
really
real
sitting
people.
here.
We're real people. This is not AI. But I just think it is such a gift to be able to learn from one another and like just inspire and encourage and see how God has woven our stories together,
Hmm.
on other sides of the country and at different seasons. But I'm just so grateful for this time together and I want to finish off here just thinking about perhaps that whether it's a woman who's just sitting, whether it's about meal planning where she's feeling discouraged, she's feeling frustrated, she's feeling like she doesn't know how to feed her family for the amount of money they have,
Hmm.
or maybe even in her motherhood, she's feeling exhausted, perhaps burnt out, feeling like she has these dreams or these thoughts. Like we didn't even really get much into your podcast, but I just want
Hmm.
to encourage people go listen and let me see if I get it in order. Praise, prayer, and protein. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So go listen, take a listen to Kate. Honestly, just I know that after this conversation, you're gonna want to just keep listening to all that she has to offer because we've just scratched the surface. But um, I just want to think about this woman, and if you were sitting at a table with her, let's say you invited her into your home because I know you're so hospitable and you
Hmm.
love having people there. What would you say to her as you're looking at her across the table?
Yeah, I was thinking about this sort of this morning as I was walking home from the like taking my kids down to the bus. Is one thing that has really shifted my mental thoughts on parenting is learning your season and leaning into the season you're in. So I'm sure, like us in the East Coast, you guys also experience four very different seasons where you are. We have, the season of, hot, sunny weather, and then all of a sudden we get to fall and the colors are stunning, but it's a little bit chillier. It's,
Mm.
colder. Then we have winter where literally you're just trying to survive. Like it's cold, so icy. Everything's just dead and dormant, just like resting. And then you have this spring where things are starting to come back into life, those really four distinctive seasons. And if you start thinking about parenting in seasons, you have those in your parenting. You have those newborn years where you're really just trying to stay alive. Like you're trying to get sleep. You're trying to understand a baby's schedule. You're trying to learn these new rhythms. And during that time, I actually had to unfollow a lot of my friends that were just a little bit ahead of me who loved skiing and loved being outside because I was like, got all these kids. There is no living way I am putting anybody in a snowsuit for 50 seconds to go outside, like, and you feel like less than, like, oh, we're not doing that, or we're not doing this. I'm literally just trying to survive. The kids are watching cartoons and I'm curled on the couch, like s- you know, nap trapped, or,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
nursing or things like that. That's the type of season you are in. You're in sort of this rest and I don't like to say a survival season because I like to try to thrive in every season, but the thriving in that season is actually just surviving and resting, like
Mm.
learning to rest. And then as they get older and they get independence, you get that spring life back a little bit and you start thinking about it like, oh, I think I can do a little bit more. We can start doing things as a family. And then you really get into like these other seasons of like, not freedom, but like,
Mm.
oh, I actually can get out for a walk after supper because some of my kids are old enough to stay with other kids. Like I
Mm.
can get out for 15 minutes. And now it's like, oh, I can actually get out spinning. Like I can leave for an hour now because our kids can babysit or nobody needs me to do anything at home, like everybody's going to be fine. So I have this, new kind of season where I couldn't start a podcast until I didn't have anybody home because it's so loud in here. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Right.
do you hear the dryer?
Yeah.
Before we
Yeah.
start. This mic is very good at canceling
Yeah.
outside noise. But somebody was always home, so I always had that. I wanted to do that
Mhm.
because I do love to have people over and sit on my couch and talk through hard things and to be there for them. But I know podcasting, I can do that to more people, and I had this desire to want to do that when
Mhm.
I after my first time being on a podcast last March, and I was like, oh, moms need this. Like moms need what I want to say or have to say, or some tips that helped or things that actually didn't help, like, but I couldn't do that in this season. I couldn't do a lot of things that I'm doing now in the seasons I was in before. So I do think going easy on ourselves, having grace with ourselves in those really tough seasons.
Mhm.
Definitely listen to my podcast,
Yeah.
shameless plug,
Yes. Plug,
because I
plug,
talk
plug.
because I talk a lot about it there. It gives me space. Like I started it because it gives me more airtime than what Instagram would or Facebook would in those like short little snippets. I can't keep anyone's attention for more than 7 seconds on Instagram,
Even when
but
you get
my
things.
yeah. My podcasts aren't long. They're, like 15 to 20 minutes max.
Yeah.
But they do talk a lot about it's encouragement in every season of motherhood. Like that's the theme of the podcast, and how those three things have helped me in every season of parenting. The praise, just having the praise music on in the house, and being thankful is another, type of praise. The prayer, because I was an only child, and I didn't really I don't have it all put together, and just praying through every season. And then the protein of actually just eating and filling ourselves with food, but also feeding others, feeding people's souls, feeding people around the dinner table. I'm pretty pro with families coming back to the dinner table for connection. So all that is on the podcast, and that was my heart to be able to have those conversations, not just with one person, but to kind of get it out there on things to do. But definitely I've been there. I've been on the couch crying a lot of times in those seasons. Like, so I see that mom
Mhm.
there, but to know like a new season is coming, like it's not forever. Sometimes we just think this is going to last forever, especially when your kids are not sleeping through the night,
Mhm.
or you got the toddler tantrums or the potty training,
Mhm.
and it's like, well, actually, you're going to turn around and have almost 18-year-old who is not doing any of that, and
He
then you're
actually goes to
navigating
the
all
washroom on
the
his
new
own.
things
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
come with being a mom with kids in middle school and high school and university. Like I have four kids now in the middle school, high school, and university. So there's a lot new challenges, all those new things that are coming in. So every season is just so different. So thinking about parenting in each season and just how to strive within each season is really helpful.
Mm. Thank you so much. I am so grateful that we got to sit down today and just for me to just hear from you and your story and how God has worked in your life and been faithful through every season and
Mhm.
how he's been just honestly like working in your family. Like I still think it is wild to have this only child who didn't know the Lord as a young person. Like I'm thinking, right? If you say
Yep.
that you came to the Lord at 19 and then within the next few years, gave you this vision from this other woman who had walked before of like actually like we're gonna leave this up to the Lord. Like
Yep.
I am so inspired by that. And so thank you for sharing your story with us here today. If
Yeah.
people want to connect with you further, what's going to be the best way for them to do that?
So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Kate's Creative Kitchen. You can find me there. And you want me to share about the freebie?
Yeah, I would love
We can
that.
go back to
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I have the fall meal matrix that I would love to give to listeners. So if you are not yet following me, you hit that follow button and then DM me. Send me a message. That's what that means. If you don't know on Instagram, I'm sure we all maybe know. Send me a message and just be like, heard you on the podcast. I'm new here. And then I'm going to shoot you those 40 meals so that you can take the rest of the fall until we get to the Christmas season and
Ooh.
have some meal on rotation, have some meal ideas on rotation. And then there you'll be able to find all my meal plans, any of my freebies. Like I'm pretty sure I have that 10 rotisserie chicken meal thing, like in a link tree for a freebie there. You can find all kinds of stuff on there and you can just join the wild, crazy life that we live and learn how to find some joy in the chaos of this motherhood. Oh, and you can check out my podcast,
Yeah.
Transparent Protein on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And
Lovely.
on Apple Podcasts. That was like the
Yeah.
easiest thing.
Right. Just move a little closer to the
Yeah.
microphone there. All right.
Subscribe
Yeah.
today.
Don't forget to ring that bell.
Yeah.
We I guess that's on YouTube. Maybe
That's on
that's
YouTube.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, ring the bell on my YouTube. There's
Yes. 100%.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kate. I look forward to more conversations in the future. I am so grateful for your time and thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah.
Bye.